it is I, Chelsea Rose, also known as Lucid Rose. It's been a minute, again, and I thought I'd do an update. I'm working on a personal painting at the moment. I've been doing a few commissions lately, and I promised myself that I would do some more work just for me. I just did 2 smaller pieces. Now I'm doing this big one behind me, and I wanted to talk about the process. You know, it's been pretty heavy lately, you know, COVID and all that mess, and I had this idea to do this painting last year, but I felt like with the imagery that was in it, it would be better if I waited and held out painting it until 2021. So kind of as soon as 2020 was done, I began preparation on this piece behind me. So it all started, as it usually does, quite often, in my sketchbook. What was interesting is these both started individually. They were, you know, they're just single pages, and then the next thing I drew ended up being this, and there was definitely a correlation, butterflies and caterpillars, and I think some death and rebirth kind of symbols here just kind of happened on their own, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed this combination of imagery, but I wasn't sure about the layout. So I ended up scanning them individually and working with the layout in Photoshop and Procreate to kind of switch things around until I felt like it was something I wanted to paint as a cohesive piece. And so here it is behind me. This is the very beginning. I've just done some India ink sketching. That's what the black is. I just used my Faber-Castell India ink pens to do a rough sketch, and then I started work on the background. And so far, this is what I got. Alright, here's a wide shot. Quick glimpse of what my studio space is looking like at this very moment. And here we go. So yeah, I don't want to get too intense with the interpretations of the art so soon. Sometimes images just kind of come to me for reasons that I don't even really know, and they just kind of happen, and I draw them or I paint them, and as I work on them further, the knowledge that I'm needing out of those images and symbols slowly reveal themselves to me. I like to leave room for interpretation, as I think that's one of the most interesting parts of art, is that nobody can really look at the one painting and see the same meaning, have the same feelings, one person to the next. So I think this piece is hopeful, which is good. The last few paintings that I worked on didn't feel very hopeful, which is fine. It's okay. It's important to express those things. But yeah, I think that it's speaking about the cyclical nature of life and everything. So I think it made sense to start this in 2021 as we are going through what we are going through. So I'm not sure how well this will work, but I wanted to show you the process that I started with figuring out how this painting was going to work. So this was the original scan. You know, I think that's great that I can just go into Procreate and do a couple different color concept ideas. You know, you can see all of these different layers were different options for different aspects of the painting, and ultimately this is the thing I'm going to work towards. It's a very basic guideline. It's not set in stone. I'm not going to hold myself true to this necessarily, but this is what I'm thinking about for the color palette as I go forward on canvas with paint. As you can see, the pen and ink on canvas is real rough. It's not exact. It's very scratchy and just wanted to get the basic shapes and all the basic character elements down before I started making a mess of the background. And then usually I only paint in acrylic. When I'm using acrylic, I'm only painting with the primaries. So I usually just do primary yellow, primary magenta, and primary cyan, and I mix all of my own colors with this plus white and black. And so I kind of started doing that here, and I noticed it was essentially CMYK, and I wanted to spice that up and be able to introduce maybe richer colors that weren't quite as easy for me to create with my primary mixing. So I ended up buying some paint that I haven't really ever worked with before. I'm really in love with Violet Dark, Permanent Violet Dark, Phthalo Blue. I haven't used the teal yet, but I know I'm absolutely mad about this teal because my friend Darcy turned me onto it. And Raw Sienna is helping me kind of ground the palette a little bit closer, adding a little bit of earth tones into my oranges and reds. You can see some of that right in here. Again, this is still rough though, but the phthalo blue is the darker blue in here, and the cyan is the kind of lighter blue. And I think they work really well together, and it's definitely created more interest in the basic palette of the piece. And purple is a particularly difficult color to mix, and so I'm happy to have some permanent violet dark to play with more and to get different variations of purple without them turning gray. So yeah, that's just a basic kind of idea of how this is coming along, and I'll definitely do my best to keep updating you on this as I work on this big painting. I only have one other painting that sort of rivals in size, and it's this panel over here, which I have talked about in other videos. I had one other the exact same size as this one, which is sold and in private collection. And so I love painting really big, and that's part of reasons why I love mural painting as well. But I live in a small apartment, and so usually limited in size. So I don't normally go for these big pieces. The reason I painted this and the other painting that sold was because Danny, my partner, had gotten huge panels to do his paper marbling and his ebru on, and ended up not using them. So I was like, okay, well, I'll take it and I'll paint it. But similar in this way, my friend had this in her storage and just was sick of the canvas taking up space and said, hey, you want it? And I was like, okay, I'll take it. But I love painting big. And yeah. Moshi. He loves his heater. Well, it's getting dark. I should probably skedaddle. And yeah, I just appreciate the time to paint for myself and explore these ideas, and I also greatly appreciate the amazing commission work I've been given, and being healthy in COVID, and yeah, it's the little things in life. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching me ramble. It's been a while since I've done this, and I feel pretty rusty, so you'll have to forgive me and the quality of this video. But I'll keep checking in. I want to document the process of this painting particularly, so hopefully I can get some more footage, maybe some painting footage for you, and update you soon. So again, thanks for watching. Thank you for subscribing and liking and commenting, and check me out in the elsewheres, which mostly is Instagram. Check out my Instagram, which is Lucid Rose. And there's also lots of links to elsewheres as well, chelsearosearts.com. Okay, I hope you're doing well and staying safe. Thank you.